Okay, I am more of a Harden works in Philly because there's less moving parts. A lot of people, and they argue, if you look at Simmons in Brooklyn with all these pieces, it's a better fit. What side are you on? Who's going to win that trade and why?
Man, I know it's not popular to sit on the fence, Colin. I like them both. And to me, it's questions on both sides with the key guys. Ben Simmons, where is he going to be at mentally, physically, spiritually, if you will? Is he ready to rock? But basketball-wise, X's and O's, I love the fit out there. I think he fits with that crew better than James did. And then I think there's similar questions with James. A lot of the reporting leading up to him leaving Brooklyn was that he had gotten back to some of his old ways in terms of hitting the nightlife pretty hard, not necessarily looking like the most fit version of himself. The hamstring situation obviously was mysterious at best. But if James is ready to kind of channel that old Rockets version, MVP caliber version that he had before, I think that could be great too. I like both squads for sure.
So the Lakers stuff is very interesting. This is a franchise that traded wildly popular Shaq off 3 titles. Okay, they'll make moves. And LeBron's, you know, he's a visitor. Shaq felt like he was the city. It was a different time. He was as big a star as anybody in this city, including movie stars, and they moved off him. So the Lakers would move off him. Doesn't mean they would. But I'll throw this at you. I think LeBron loves L.A. I think he loves it for his family. It's unbelievable for his business. I don't think he wants to leave. He could make it ugly and do a power play against Rob Pelinka, but let's start there. Do you see Rob Pelinka eventually being forced out by LeBron? Could you see that?
I'm going to say no for now. My understanding is I believe Rob has 2 more years left on his deal, and it's a lot of money. Yeah. And so the Lakers, as you know, are it's a little counterintuitive, but they are cost conscious. It's why Alex Caruso went to Chicago for luxury tax considerations, and we've seen this time and again. So I think there is going to continue to be a lot of pressure on Rob. He's doing his best to defuse the situation, telling people privately that there's no bad blood here, even though we obviously see the way LeBron is operating right now. So I don't see Rob getting bounced. And with LeBron and his kind of motivations going forward, I'm a little torn because you are 100% correct. He loves L.A. Spring Hill, his production company, is killing it out there.
Crushing.
And his net worth has spiked since he's been there. If you go back to the Cleveland days, he would argue that he could run all of that from anywhere. That's what they used to say when he was in Cleveland. So, and I do think he wants to win at a very high level. I don't think he enjoys this type of a season where night after night after night, if anybody's been in those rooms, Colin, where we, I've been there a lot, are asking tough questions about why they're just not meeting expectations, it's just not a very pleasurable basketball experience. And I think you're seeing that bear out with the way LeBron's moving right now.
Okay, there's a couple of teams that are fascinating to me, and I want to start with Golden State. It's really easy. Dre's banged up. He was having a good season. This is a small team to begin with. They are small. If Draymond's not healthy, no chance to win the championship. Let's say Draymond, so let's say Draymond comes back and is healthy. Wiseman comes back. I don't know if they match up great with Phoenix. I don't think they match up at all with Milwaukee. In terms of size, they don't. Give me kind of crystal ball it with the Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga, by the way, 6'7", 220, twitchy, athletic. He can defend.
Baller.
But I look at him and I think, man, I just don't know if they're big enough. Where does it land for you?
I'm not betting against their culture, their guys, Draymond in particular. I looked at the numbers the other day. I believe they're 13-9 since Draymond got hurt. He needs to be 100% Draymond at his best for them to win the whole thing. Against Phoenix, they've looked pretty good in the matchups they've had to this point. I think that would be a hell of a series. And I know this stuff is hard to quantify, but you're talking about a group that has won 3 championships and everybody but Kevin Durant still being around. And more importantly, they're not living on the past. They've evolved with guys like Jordan Poole and Kuminga and all the young guys who are a big part of this. Gary Payton II, who's been an X factor. So I like the Warriors as much as anybody if they're healthy. And obviously now on the other side, Phoenix has got its situation with Chris Paul too.
Milwaukee Bucks, I've watched them 6 times. I watched them before the All-Star break twice. They're not as good defensively. Drew Holiday's having a great year. They are just not as good defensively. And that's a big part of their brand because they're a good offensive team. They're not a juggernaut. Chris Middleton, if he's off, they can have clunky quarters and halves. Why aren't they as good defensively?
It's Brook Lopez. That's it. I mean, in my opinion, it's the fact that Brook hasn't been there all year, had the back issue. Is obviously no clarity whatsoever about when they're going to have him again, if at all, this season. So that, Brook Lopez is one of the most underrated defenders in the league. And in that context of the Bucks, he has always allowed Giannis to be an absolute terror as a help defender. And that kind of synergy was important for them. They're 12th in defensive rating right now. If you look at last season, the championship season, they went into the playoffs 9th in defensive rating. So not that far from where they are right now. In the previous 2 seasons, they led the league in defense. But it is a huge part of their culture. And it's just a question of, with Serge Ibaka now being part of it, is he going to help enough when it comes to improving on that end to help them out? Because Giannis, if you want to look at positives for the Bucks, and people are sleeping on it. I mean, Colin, again, Giannis is playing at an MVP caliber level. And I'll be honest with you, if he had a strong finish, I could see myself voting for him for MVP. He's been that good, obviously, along with Embiid and Jokic.
Let me circle back to LeBron. He had these comments about Cleveland.
Yep.
Don't close the door on Cleveland. And my takeaway was, who said it's open? I don't think they're moving all those great young pieces. They have a really interesting roster. What do you make about LeBron in Cleveland again?
I thought mostly that it was one of the many choices that LeBron made in the last 10 days to just use a certain topic to send the message to the Lakers that you need to stop being comfortable with the idea that I'm going to be here forever. So whether it's Cleveland, whether it's Memphis or Sacramento, the thing that I loved from a kind of a psychological standpoint about the way he framed it is that because he brought up his son Bronny and the idea of playing with Bronny in the NBA, he just he opened up all these potential scenarios that again apply pressure to the Lakers. Like I might go anywhere, because if you take the Bronny component away, then we're back to normal times where we say, no, LeBron James is only maybe going to play in 3 markets in the entire NBA. Well, the unique idea of playing with your son now all of a sudden makes all 29 other teams a threat to the Lakers. So to me, it was less about him actually going back to Cleveland and more about the message he was sending back to L.A.
Sam Amick, senior NBA writer for The Athletic. Second half. Does the second half begin tonight? Do I get games tonight? Oh, I do get games.
You do.
Oh,
you do indeed.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Cocktail games. Life is good. There we go. Sam, good seeing you again.
Thanks, Colin. Likewise.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.